first stroke. Hapo, the topmost part of the cylinder ndo tunaita TDC. The lowest is bottom dead center. So a petrol engine has 4 strokes: induction or the intake, compression, power, exhaust. Tuangalie what happens during the first stroke of an engine. This is the intake side, this is the exhaust. Tunaelewana? So valves, the function of the valve is to open and close and to give you a tight seal during the compression stroke. First stroke. When the piston is moving downwards, I want you to see what is happening to the intake valve. Piston moving downward, the intake is open, exhaust closed. What is happening in the intake stroke? We are introducing a mixture of air and fuel into the chamber. Are we together? Yes. So during the compression, the intake stroke, intake valve open, exhaust closed, piston is moving down to create what? Suction. As much as possible. We go to the second stroke. The piston now is moving upwards. I want you to see what is happening to the intake valve. The piston is moving upward, compressing the mixture of air and fuel. Both the intake and the exhaust valve closed. Are we together? Both the intake and the exhaust closed. Piston moving upwards. Are we together? Towards the end of the compression stroke, tunajua kwamba hapa sasa kuna nini? Mafuta na air. Now we go to the power stroke. The power stroke. Towards the end of the compression stroke, a spark is introduced to burn the mixture of air and fuel. Unaona hapa? Spark. No wonder the spark plug zinafungwa kwa cylinder head. Are we together? So the ignition tunaita kwamba we've got the coil which acts as a step-up transformer, the distributor, the high tension cable. So that spark inafanya nini? When a spark is introduced to the mixture of air and fuel, it ignites, burning, hence pushing the piston downward. So when the piston is reaching BDC, bottom dead center, what is happening? Now, sasa pale ndani hatuna fresh charge, tuko na ambayo isha ignite. Are we together? Now we are going to the exhaust stroke. Are we together? Now, during the exhaust stroke, the piston is moving. I want you to see. The exhaust valve is open, intake closed. Are we together? Exhaust valve open to do what? Now ile charge ambayo ishachomeka inahitaji kufanya nini? Kuwa excreted outside. So inafanya nini? The piston moves up, the exhaust valve is open. Are we together? So four stroke. Let me start again. Intake, piston moving downwards, exhaust closed, intake open. The second stroke, both the intake and the exhaust valve closed, piston moving upwards, compressing air fuel mixture. Towards the end of the compression stroke, we go to the power stroke. A spark is introduced to burn the mixture of air and fuel. Piston moving downwards. We go to the exhaust stroke, where the piston is moving upwards. The exhaust is open, intake closed. Now that is the 4 strokes of a petrol engine. Are we together? 4 strokes of a petrol